Hi, guys. Welcome to another episode of Leaders Lens. It's your host, Ashley Martin, CEO of Leadership Lady. You are getting relevant insight from remarkable leaders. I have here an awesome guest today. Her name is Carla Bisong, and she is the only African American commercial art gallerist in the Houston, Texas area. And I'm so excited to have her here. I've been watching Carla for a couple of years now, and I have actually visited her gallery, beautiful space, and such a beautiful person who is leading all of the efforts there, and doing a lot of amazing things in Houston right now in the art community. So, welcome, Carla. How are you?
Thank you, Ashley, for having me. I'm great.
It's so good to have you here. How did you land here in life? Of all the paths that you could have taken, all the things that you probably could have done, how did you land here in life?
I think that's a great question. And I sometimes ask myself that too. So I didn't grow up around a lot of artists. I didn't grow up around a lot of people that were entrepreneurs. My parents were more traditional, go to work, get a good job, get good benefits, and that's what we need to do. And my father did sales, so I saw a little entrepreneurship with that, with like insurance sales and a tidbit of that, but it just wasn't encouraged. And so I went the traditional route, went to school. My brother and I are first generation college educated and started working. My degree was finance. I went into the investment banking world, worked 7 years with Merrill Lynch, worked 6 years with Goldman Sachs, and as I got older and older, I think 30 is a big year when people say, where am I going with my life? Is this what I want to keep doing? Do I want to make any major changes? And I was grateful for the opportunity of working the careers I worked. Great jobs, great salary, but I wasn't fulfilled. And so I realized um, I can always do what I'm doing, but there's in my mind a time frame that if I'm going to start a business, a serious brick and mortar business, I need to do it now. And then if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But I'm definitely going to do it. And I loved art. I love people. I love marketing. So being an art dealer to me was the perfect path, encompassing sales, marketing, art, artists, and everything that I enjoy.
Right. Just like all of these perfect pieces come together, pieces of this puzzle that come together to make this whole picture. That's
Yes.
pretty awesome. Talk to talk to a little bit more about that fulfillment piece. There may be people here who are listening, and they're in a role or they're in that rough place in business, and we'll get to talking
Yeah.
about some of those things.
Sure.
That many have experienced who are in business, but they don't feel fulfilled. How did you come to that decision of really embracing this thing that you know was going to help really fill a space in you that you needed?
Yeah. For me, it was accomplishing what I thought was what was going to make me feel fulfilled and happy and excited. And in my mind, going through school and starting in that environment, I said, okay, if I make a six-figure salary, I'm working for a prestigious company, the work that I do, I enjoyed, then I would be fulfilled, be happy. Then that's that. I'll do this until I retire at 65, get my benefits and I guess figure out what I do from there. And so when I reached that level that I checked all the check boxes, okay, prestigious company, check. Great salary, check. Um, you know, everything that I wrote down saying this was my goals, I checked all the check boxes and I didn't feel satisfaction. I didn't feel excitement. I didn't wake up in the morning, yay, I'm looking forward to going into the office. That was never that never really happened. And I realized if I keep doing this until quote unquote retirement 65, would I have any regrets? That was a big question I asked myself. And it was yes, I would have a major regret. And then I looked at the individuals who were the leaders in those roles. And I said, I don't want to be them. I don't want to be at their level. And I kudos to them. That's probably their dream, their
Yeah,
passion.
right.
No wrong or right way. It just wasn't for me. So that was when I woke up and said, I have to do something different.
That's Thank you for sharing that.
Mhm.
If you're listening, she said plan. She had a plan. She wrote down her goals. But you realize, and it's amazing that you accomplished that, because sometimes people have plans and they make goals and they don't reach them. So it's pretty amazing that you did that.
Mhm.
Um, but then that second piece, you're looking like, hey, is this what I really want? So sometimes we have to ask ourselves those questions, as challenging as they may be. Hey, is this what I really want? And it's okay to change. So anybody listening who may be in a space where you're currently in a position, even if you're a business owner, um, and you're just not fulfilled,
Mhm.
or it's not, something is just not clicking. It's okay to shift. It's okay to pivot. It's okay to change and start your next chapter.
I agree. I've seen so many business owners in changing, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think if we can tell ourselves, you know what, forget embarrassment. Sometimes we'll stay in a role because, like, I don't want everyone to say that I failed, or I don't want to disappoint my parents or my community. It's not about them. They are not living your life. And I say that being over 40 and living feeling like I wanted to make other people happy. I had the disease to please for quite a few years,
Wow.
and getting rid of that was one of the best things of my life. I don't care. I don't care if you don't agree with what I do. I don't care if you think I should have stayed in that environment. You are not walking my shoes. So that was the end of that.
Yeah. And you get to that point in life, you hit the nail on the head, with the disease to please.
Mhm.
Because where, people want healthy relationships, you want to be happy, and hopefully to add to other people's happiness, but you can't compromise your own all the time. You just simply can't, because there's something about not only just being happy but being fulfilled that serves sometimes as fuel and motivation to get things done. And sometimes it's an indicator, besides all the, some people say, well, it's not about feelings, right? For those that are watching, I hear you, it's not about feelings, Ash. um Sometimes it's an indicator, and Carla can probably attest to this. It's an indicator that it's time to shift. It's time to change. It's time to go after that thing that you keep thinking about or dreaming about or waking up about, and or it's just everywhere around you.
Mhm.
It's time to make that change. Speaking of change, a lot has happened over the past year. How has business been in the midst of the pandemic and just everything that's happened, since the beginning of like 2020? How have things been?
Sure. Houston had a shutdown in March of 2020, so that was very scary. A lot of my business involves people visually coming in and seeing the artwork. So I had to learn. I had to learn. I was a little bit fearful of technology a bit. I always said, I like technology. Technology doesn't like me. And so I did research about creating virtual exhibitions, allowing people into those spaces, how we can still get the word out. If it was just me in the gallery by myself with my camera, recording a video, and sending it, hey, we have this piece to certain collectors. I think you would be interested in it. And I was my own Vanna White, like, look at this, uh,
Right, I love it.
literal and emailing that video out. I did that as well too.
Yeah.
And interesting enough, I had more online sales during
Hmm.
that time last year because guess what? We were shut down, but more people were at their houses
Right.
and looking at empty walls and like,
Right.
well, what can we do? I know for me and my husband, we pulled up our carpet downstairs and we had always been talking about hardwood floors. We're like, it's time to do it. Let's pull up this carpet and I'm sick of it and let's, do home renovations.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So a lot of others were finding ways to just beautify their homes and they purchased art.
Right. 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 So it's something, it's always amazing to me how there's that, either some people would say that silver lining, but there's something positive that can come out of something that, you know, is very dark. In terms of COVID and the pandemic, because I think a lot of businesses like your own have seen a lot of shifts or some upticks or different things like that. So that's pretty awesome. But I can imagine now too, offices are maybe looking for some artwork because people are now embracing hybrid work environments, or they're going back to work, or they're new businesses that are opening up. So hey, you need some artwork in your office. Reach out to Carla. Reach
Yes.
out to Carla.
And we definitely even custom create artwork as well too. So if you see an artist, you like their style, but you want the colors to match a color palette that you have, or you need a certain size, we definitely can custom create anything that you need.
Awesome. Awesome. So beyond COVID happening, there's also been a lot of other things going on
Hmm.
in the country and in the world. A lot of attention to social injustice, to some things that have happened historically that are now being dealt with currently,
Yes.
right? And we're seeing a lot of things come to light. How has your role as an art gallerist changed, if any,
Hmm.
during this time, just with a lot of, I would say, a lot of reckoning, a lot of, again, issues being dealt with concerning race, racism, sexism, all of the isms and schisms out there.
Sure.
But
Sure.
how, has it changed, has it shifted how you view art and just your approach to things, or if any at all?
I certainly, and I would say even before recent times, I started the gallery with the mindset of wanting to represent artists that I felt may not have as much representation from some of the larger, maybe more established galleries, because maybe race, maybe not having a big name behind them or haven't built to a certain career level. So I would say from day one, that was conscious in my mind. Women, African Americans, I mean, Hispanic communities that a lot of times when I love going to art galleries and just I just noticed I would pay attention to who are the artists being represented. And so it was conscious on my mind. I feel privileged and blessed that unfortunately after a sad situation, the George Floyd situation that happened, we received a lot of support and a lot of people that I don't think before that were pro. We you know pro supporting African Americans, pro supporting Black businesses. So it's kind of a silver lining. I use that carefully um,
Mm-hmm.
because it's tragic situation, and then you're happy for some progress, but you're a little angry that the progress is coming after such, a major tragedy. Um, so I have super mixed feelings about it. But if many artists were getting attention that weren't getting attention in the past, of course I support that. Of course I want to see that. But again, I tread lightly with my words because it's heartbreaking. It's absolutely heartbreaking.
Right, right, right. And you hit some really good points there, that I think are worth really thinking about. Does progress have to always happen after
Mhm.
tragedy?
Mm,
That's
such
a
a
question. That's a
yeah,
question for us, for all of us.
yeah.
Does it have to happen after something really bad happens?
And I think in general, I think the psychology of uncomfort, being uncomfortable
Mm,
makes things change. So even after tragedy or even in anyone's individual life, when a person is uncomfortable, then they make a change. So I think that's just part of our human psyche. That's something that we do.
right, right. It's interesting. Human nature is interesting.
Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about what it's like to be the practicality of being um, the only African American commercial art gallerist in Houston. What is that like? What is a week like? Like, what do you do on a day to day basis? How do you get it done? I think it's a equally important question.
Yes, and I'm so grateful. I am surrounded by incredible people. I am surrounded by a team of artists and art lovers as well that help me in the gallery. I could not do this by myself. So I do not sit here and act like, oh, look at me, look at me. Oh, no, no, no. I have help.
Yeah.
So I have help in the gallery with individuals walk in. We have a team. We also rent the gallery out for private events. So we've had weddings at the gallery. We've had fundraisers. We've had political fundraisers, nonprofit fundraisers, so many events, book signings with new authors writing their first novels, their first self-help books, have had their book signings in the gallery. I In 8 years, we've been around, almost nine. This December will be 9 years. And I've seen the venue used for just so many other creatives to birth their projects and birth their businesses. So it's phenomenal. But I definitely need a team to help and assist with those events. I'm a pretty organized person, but some artists might not be, and creatives. And so I love giving back, sharing my knowledge when you're having a product release, when you're having a book release, or even having a wedding. I unofficially sometimes become the event coordinator, and it's fine. I would much rather see a successful event and I work for free than you- a creative, an entrepreneur put together an event and didn't have that help, because you just don't know what you don't know, than for it to be unsuccessful. So I definitely roll up my sleeves more often than not, take on probably more than I should, but I enjoy it.
Yeah, yeah. Team, couple of things. Teamwork, right?
Yeah.
Makes the dream work. It's true. It's true. It sounds cheesy, y'all, but it's true. Teamwork
Mhm.
really makes the dream work. You really can't do it yourself. And then, knowing your skill set and your strengths is extremely important,
Mhm.
just to getting everything done. And I love that um, you are aware of that, and
Yeah.
you're aware of like what your fellow creatives need as well.
Mhm. And as women in business, I cannot stress how important it is, if you can, to have a supportive spouse, a supportive partner, because we talk. I love talking to other women entrepreneurs, and I've spoken with the single mother entrepreneurs, and I've spoken with the women who are married and their husbands would prefer for them not to do their businesses, would prefer for them to be more attentive at home. And we all know that being an entrepreneur is crazy. Then juggling that with mother and wife or significant other, um, that's added stress to know that your partner isn't supportive. And so thankfully I don't have that problem. But to the women that do, my heart goes out to you. Please reach out to your support system, with your fellow sisters, with your community, whatever you can do to get that support, because you need it. You can't do this emotionally by yourself.
That's big. Support is extremely important, especially business owners, future business owners, um, and even people who may be just leaders with a big load. You have a
Yeah.
heavy load and not just a plate you tend to, a platter.
Hmm.
You have to have support. But thank you for sharing that aspect of how relationships really do and can either enhance
Yeah.
or not your
Hmm.
experience as a business owner. That's extremely important, or
Yeah.
as a leader.
Right. And a little bit off topic, but when I hear these stories of some of these people that are famous and built these great companies, and unfortunately their relationships fall apart, and they start arguing, acting like, well, I did all this on my own. And 90% of the time, that is not true. That is not true. With um, sometimes that person being by your side when you're losing sleep, you're not eating, you're complaining about this client not working out or this employee acting up. That partner is taking in that stress that you are bringing home, and so they definitely need that acknowledgement that they're there for you. They may not be in your company, they may not be coming to work every day with you and coming to the business, but they're definitely on that journey with you.
Right, right. And also, family and friends, it's
Yes.
it's extremely important because some people may be business owners or leaders and they're not married yet, but they're single moms, single dads. They know how it's out here in these business streets.
That's so true. There's plenty of
Support.
parties or baby showers I've had to miss, or I couldn't take my daughter to, and I had to make it up to her. Like, mommy can't do this on Saturday, but guess what? On Sunday, you and me are going to have our little girlfriend's ice cream,
Mhm.
visit and go make a day of it. So it's very important to me that I'm not continuously saying I can't go there, I can't do this. If to me, I make it a goal. If I say no to one thing, I say, but I'm going to make it up to you on this date or by doing this. And so she's not always thinking, or hopefully not growing up, well, I don't want to be a business owner because I know how busy mom was and she couldn't
Mm.
come to this and she couldn't do that. That's not the legacy I want to leave for her.
Right, right. So just that balance, and having your priorities and making sure that you're enjoying a full experience as a leader and as a business owner. I know leaders, people who work for other people, and guess what? There still needs to be some adjustments. So we understand there's different seasons, right? Because some seasons are busier than others, some certain times of the year. But you really want to step back, make the time to step back and think about what you can change. Like what Carla said, maybe you can't show up here, but you can do this. Or
Hmm.
maybe you change the meeting to
Yeah.
attend if you can. So that's incredible for people to know. Especially again, current leaders, you need to be reminded, and future leaders, you need to be aware of those things. So we're just trying to front load you. And while we're here in this space, many of us have stories that we can share about how we overcame an obstacle. Has there
Hmm.
been anything in your life or as a business owner that's presented itself as an obstacle, in any way, shape, or form to you?
Sure. Sure. With us being in Houston, I mean, we have just went through hit after hit with natural disasters, like you mentioned recently,
Mm.
a global pandemic. Globally, the world's dealing with that. But before that, we had Hurricane Harvey and the flooding. Unfortunately, the gallery flooded, and we had 2 feet of water in our gallery. So that was a moment of what in the world? I looked at my security cameras and saw a swimming pool in the gallery.
Oh wow.
And having that moment of being discouraged, feeling, what are we going to do? And that's another Houston wide activity that happened to all people. So even though only sheetrock was damaged and we were able to repair that and had an electrician come in and check outlets, thank goodness no artwork was destroyed. I would have been heartbroken telling any artist your artwork was damaged. So that didn't happen. But even when you physically rebuild from something like that affecting an entire community, you almost feel guilty marketing again and wanting to get people to spend money because you're like, how do I tell people to buy a luxury item when some people lost their homes? Um, so I even struggled with the guilt behind that as well.
Mm.
We were lucky enough, our home was fine, and completely any damage we dealt with was cosmetic, nothing extreme at all. But it was, how do you navigate as a business owner after such a thing?
That's it. Hurricanes and weather and all of those things, those are big pills to swallow. But I hear you 100% about knowing the timing of how do you re-engage
Hmm.
in a way that you did before when you've had this big disruption and when you've had this big rift, and not just you but people in your community, right? To try
Hmm.
to get some sense of normalcy or getting back on track again. How do you now just how do you re-engage, and what's the timing with that? And sometimes it's a struggle,
Yeah.
or it takes time to learn.
Hmm.
And you have to be sensitive to not just what you can handle, right? So what Carla can handle walking and seeing her gallery with water everywhere, but also, what's going on with the art community and people who purchase the art, like being sensitive to their needs as well. So that's thank you for sharing that. Because that's something that I think viewers need to be mindful of, and to again, not that you need to always think about this, but be cognizant of the fact that, hey, in life, we deal with disruptions and we deal with interruptions or things that try to cause a rift in your what's considered your normal, right?
Yes.
Which is different for everybody, but you have to then navigate that moment so you don't just lose everything and get back on track.
Hmm. And my self awareness as well, even if things aren't bad for me, I'm highly sensitive and prone to other people's energies. And so when someone else tells me that they've lost everything, they've lost their home, or artists have lost jobs or something like that, and just having those conversations, that I take that on, not meaning to, but that's just part of my personality, part of who I am.
Hmm.
And it is a true challenge, because if me and you are friends, and if you're crying over a breakup, I'm next to you crying too. It feels like the person broke up with me just like they broke up with you, you know? So that is truly, as a business owner, but also being self-aware that that's who I am. But at the same time, I have to control those feelings and keep moving forward when I feel like being balled up in a corner and I want everyone to leave me alone. I don't have that luxury. I have responsibilities to family, to my artists that I represent, to my collectors. I have to keep pushing. And that was something I knew I would have to master, in being successful in business.
Right, right. That emotional control is also known as emotional intelligence.
Mm.
Um, there are, and I have found this in the work that I've done, there are certain types of people who, like you, have that similar mindset that, look, I cannot let everything crumble. I can't let balls drop, because there's too many people who are dependent on me,
Mhm.
and it's real. And then some of the, some of my response when I hear that is just make sure that you're taking care of you, and make sure that you have your outlet, so that when there's a moment, you're crumbling, because that's what we don't want.
Yes.
So you got to make sure too that it's good to have great emotional resolve, and I think a lot of women tend to have that. I think men have it as well, they just show it differently.
Right.
Right, right. And then for some of us, male or female, black or white, whatever
Mm.
descriptor that we have, um you're tired of being that one that's always being has to be the strong one, right?
Yeah.
There's that sense, but then there are others that are like, look, we don't have a choice.
Yes.
We
Yeah.
don't have a choice, and I think you get extra grace because you have that mindset and you have that heart to be that person that says, hey, okay, I'm gonna keep going, I'm gonna keep going, I'm gonna keep pushing. You get your moments to decompress.
That's true.
Yeah. Carla, this has been awesome. Wealth of knowledge. Wealth of knowledge.
Thank
And I
you.
see how you have become this trailblazer as the only African American commercial art gallerist, African American woman,
Mm.
female commercial art gallerist in Houston. If you would like to check out some of the artwork and the gallery itself, please visit her website at bisonggallery.com. And there's also an awesome event if you're going to
Yes.
be in the Houston area in December. And I'll let Carla tell you about that.
Sure. If you are in the Houston area, December 10th, you want to be at the art exhibition Trapeze. This is our first exhibition outside of the gallery that will be at the Lone Star Flight Museum. So you have a aviation museum. It's in a working hangar. It is going to be black tie, the perfect event. If you don't have a Christmas party to go to, join us. Join us for, even if you do have a Christmas party to go to and it's not on that date, go to your party and then come to this as well. This is dress up fundraiser as well. Proceeds from ticket sales are going to benefit HBCUs, including Prairie View A&M University. And the artist is a Morehouse College graduate. And so also want to support Morehouse and Spelman. And so this is a wonderful opportunity. The link will be below, and um, just a phenomenal experience. Live music, appetizers, dinner, food, cocktails. Again, black tie, dress up, excellence. Um, Nicole Irvine is from the mayor's office. Mocha is the mayor's office of cultural affairs. Is a special guest. She'll be saying a few words, and Councilman Edward Pollard will be saying a few words, also joining us that evening. So a great, great event to come to, supporting the arts and supporting our community.
Awesome, 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 awesome. Be there if you can, if you're in the Houston area on December 10th, correct?
Yes. On December 10th, grab your tickets. It's ticketed at an event, so no ticket, no one's coming in. But it's Friday, December 10th.
Got it. Got it. Any COVID precautions that people need to be
Yeah,
aware
so
of?
I mean, the venue can hold 1,000 people, but we are limited to less than 300 guests and um, making COVID provisions. Many people, if you are not fully vaccinated, we request that you wear a mask. If you are fully vaccinated, we do not make it mandatory to wear a mask. And we appreciate your support.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you once again, Carla. Thank you guys for tuning into A Leader's Lens. I hope you learned a lot, took some notes. Again, connect with Carla,
Mhm.
connect here. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next time. If you would like to be a guest yourself, or there's somebody that you think may be a good guest, or you just want to connect, visit www.leadershiplady.com. Bye, guys. Have a good one. Bye
Thank
bye.
you. Bye. Thanks for joining.